With that down, let's move on to this. You know, whenever you would go into a superhero film, it is standard template procedure to start with the origin story of that hero. And it was that way forever and ever. Amen. That's just the way it had always been. But I remember, I was going to say Ed Norton's, but I remember my Hulk film that Ed Norton Jr. was my co-star. And that was the first time, I'm sure it wasn't the absolute first time, but it was the first time that I remember seeing a superhero film where they decided to forego the origin story. You know, just a quick little thing during the opening credits, like as newspaper clippings, whatever. And it's like, yeah, we all know Bruce Banner is the Hulk. We just had a different version of it a while ago. We all know this, so we could move forward. And I thought, you know, that was really refreshing. They kind of did the same thing for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. We didn't go through and it's like, oh, I'm just a nerdy kid. Oh, I'm going to go to Oscar. Oh no, a spider bit me. They forego all of that. And granted, he wasn't, you know, full-blown Spider-Man yet, but he was basically Spider-Man already. They went past it recently. Superman realized we've had many, many versions of Superman. We don't need to replay the, oh, baby born on Krypton. Krypton blew up. Ooh, baby spaceship came to Earth. We don't need to do that. And Fantastic Four just did it as well. Now, the folks over at IndieWire, one of my favorite online outlets, to be honest, they just wrote this article as saying the one thing Superman and Fantastic Four can agree on: origin stories are over. Summer's two biggest superhero films pick up long after their central figures have already taken up their respective mantles. They and the genre are better for it. And they went on to make a good case. And I'm not here to pick apart the article. I love this outlet. I think it's a really interesting article. You should go check it out and read it yourself. So, Rob, it got me thinking about the issue. Are we past origin stories? And I think it's one of those things where the real answer is yes and no. For example, I think for things like Shang-Chi, nobody knows Shang-Chi in the general movie-going public. Nobody knew Shang-Chi. And so we don't have 7 or 8 other iterations in our viewing past that we've already seen his story told. And therefore, for somebody like Shang-Chi, it was a great idea to actually have his origin story. Nobody knew who Ant-Man was in the general movie-going public. And even those who were familiar with his name didn't really know anything about him. We didn't have 20 iterations of him before. And therefore, starting Ant-Man with Paul Rudd, I felt it was appropriate to start off with an origin story. Tell us how he got to be how he is. So that's where I think, no, we're not done with origin stories. That being said, we are now entering into a new era, Rob, where when we get these superhero properties, we are often getting their second, third, fourth, and fifth, some cases, renditions of these properties, where a lot of people, even if they've never read a comic book in their life, already fully know the story of these characters. And we already know who they are. We already know where they come from. Do we really need to spend 20 to 25 precious minutes of our limited movie time recovering ground we already fully know and have seen done several times? And you know what? Superman was the better for it. I think Fantastic Four is the better for it. You haven't seen Fantastic Four yet, but I believe you'll see what I mean.
Sure.
I believe it's the better for it. And so, yeah, I do kind of hope that Marvel, DC, and other players who decide to get in the game at a later time understand if we're dealing with a character we really haven't on screen before, by all means, origin story. It's a way to get us connected to the characters, all that kind of stuff. But if it's characters like Fantastic Four, where we've had 4 other movies, if it's a character like Superman, where we've had 5 TV shows and 4 different movies, depending on how many you count, we don't need them. So anyway, that's kind of my take on it. Rob, what do you think the state is of origin stories and how should they be used or not used moving forward?
Well, look, you think about our great heroes. When we met Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark in 81, he was in the middle of the South American jungle penetrating a temple. That opening scene tells you so much about Indiana Jones because it shows how capable he is. He knows when he goes to that temple, it shows he's got a great set of skills that he understands. He knows traps. And then it's great because you think that he's going to just be able to take the idol, when he transfers it with the sand, and then you realize he's fallible, and then it's so great. And he gets out of the temple, Sapito gets killed, and he rolls out just barely with his life after the rock could have rolled over the top of him. And there's Renee Belloc, in the linen suit and with the whole Jovitos. And once again,
Dr. Jones, there's nothing you possess that I cannot take away.
And what's so great about that was his origin in a way. Like we know that he's great at what he does, but he's also not infallible. But we learn about him on the job. And I think that's better. I mean, an origin story traditionally, then you're not telling the main story when you're telling an origin, unless the origin is somehow related to the main story. Right. But I really believe James Bond, you didn't know his origin, and Dr. No, he sits down at a Baccarat table, James Bond, and lights a cigarette, and you're off to the races. I mean, I think we all know what superheroes are. We all know the various derivations of their origins. They got bit by a spider. Some ancient relic imbued them with powers. They came from an alien planet.
In an Amazonian rainforest.
You're in Paradise Island. Toxic waste got dumped on you. It doesn't matter. And I think jumping into these things is a great way. You put the audience right in the action, and then the audience has all these questions, and then you're leading them by those questions into the story. So I think it's a great way to do it. And Superman, and I mean, I know how Fantastic Four does begin because. And I think catching you up to speed. It's almost like in last episode, we all know. And I think we don't need origin stories. And if you do, refer back to your origin story in the middle of the tale that you're telling. And figure out, well, let me tell you how this happened and why I got to get this guy.
A great example of this, of what you're talking about, Batman Begins.
Oh, yeah.
Is a great example where his origin story is fundamental to the actual narrative and the plot of the rest of the movie because it's all connected. It's all one story, really.
Yeah. And then look, like he goes off on a vision quest, and he goes up the mountain, gets the flower, and goes to the League of Shadows. I mean, all that's much more interesting. Drop you into the action. It's always better to drop people into the action of a story like this.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? About the IndieWire has this great article about it, but it's an interesting conversation. Should we just start forgoing origin stories, or are there times and places where no, they really should be doing and establishing an origin story for the audience? And when is it better just to jump right into the midlife of a hero or whatever? Whatever you guys think about that, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.